Alrighty. That time of Sunday that we love. Time for Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. With me, Nortey by nature. Some call it a program. I call it a promise. Some call us a frequency. I say we're a family. Stick and stay. Welcome aboard. Let me do some praise. All right, let me do diffy small, eh? Welcome aboard Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. We have fun, but we still get it done. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're live. Facebook, YouTube, and of course WhatsApp. So the 22nd of July was World Brain Day. I've got three very brainy neurologists in the studio, but I'm going to be the one to kind of try and test their brains, huh? So World Brain Day, we're looking at protecting, promoting, securing brain health. Geez, how'd you do that? I thought everything was downloaded, manufacturer settings, and we're cool, we're good to go. But there are things you can do to maintain, promote, secure brain health. What is a healthy brain? Indeed, what is the brain? So I'm in the studio with, I believe, members of the Neurological Society of Ghana. Dr. Frida Amoating is a physician specialist and a fellow in neurology at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Dr. David Brody-Menz is a neurologist with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And Dr. Augustina, my mom's name, Augustina Chawe, is a neurologist with the 37 Military Hospital and the treasurer of the Neurological Society of Ghana. Ladies or docs, you're most welcome. Oh, how come I'm not hearing you? Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Right. Abeko, I think you have to boost their mics, eh? I'm not hearing them. Okay. Right. Welcome. Welcome to Ultimate Health.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to have this opportunity.
You're most welcome. You know, I like having all the practitioners and the professionals to help educate, inform, and empower our listeners. So you're most welcome. World Brain Day. Have we done that before? I think we have, but just bring us up to speed. What's the World Brain Day, Dr. Chawi?
So World Brain Day has been in place for nearly 10 years now, and it's dedicated to educating the general population about all matters to do with the brain.
Okay.
So for the first few years, we had disease-specific days where we would highlight a particular disease of the nervous system. And in the last few years, we have realized that we need to change the approach to understanding our brains and what we can do with it. So the concept of brain health was the one that was being championed.
Okay.
3 years ago, we had broad brain health for the topic of World Brain Day. Last year it was rehabilitation, and this year the topic is prevention.
Okay.
So what do we all have to do, all our stakeholders, because every single one of us is in possession of a brain.
Okay.
What do we need to do to maintain our brain health and prevent the disorders of the brain and the nervous system in order for us to live to our maximum potential?
Okay. So of all the things I'll think about when it comes to health, well-being and all that, the last, I guess, any of us would think about is doing anything that, protects the brain. We tend to take the brain and brain function for granted. Dr. Brody-Menz, am I right?
I'll agree with you there because it's something that most people feel that they are already working at their maximum potential for their brain, and then they don't think about how they can preserve their brain health, especially when people grow older, and then as they grow older, there's this slight cognitive decline, and then we have some brain diseases that could be prevented by taking care of your brain. So we're talking about things like strokes, things like dementia, Alzheimer's, things like having epilepsy, and then things like some people have constant headaches due to all different causes, stress, and then other things. So what we're trying to do with this year's World Brain Day is try to say that some of these conditions can be prevented, and we can prevent them by taking good care of our brains. So if we can raise awareness of that, then hopefully we can reduce the incidence of these conditions.
Okay, I'm just thinking, replaying what you just said. I don't have a stroke, I don't have a seizure disorder, I'm not getting headaches, I'm fine. Frida, so do I need to experience symptoms or problems for me to start considering whether my brain is in optimum or optimal shape?
Okay, so like my colleague said, I think people, they don't intentionally ignore the brain. It's just that they don't know what to do about the brain. When we talk about well-being, when people hear the brain, it sounds so big, it sounds so complex. Okay, I know if I want to lose weight, I do this. But when it comes to the brain, I don't think people are aware of what they need to do.
Okay.
So the need for the World Brain Day to bring it down as much as possible for everyone to understand the basics and also see the importance we have or the power we have in maintaining good brain health.
Okay.
So I think this is a very important platform for people to get to know about the brain.
Okay, folks, if you just joined us, 15 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. The program, as always, on a Sunday afternoon after 2 is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living. Today we are talking about the ultimate organ, the brain. Yes, it's supposed to be between your ears. okay? But it's supposed to do and command many, many, many things that you take for granted, right? There may be things you are engaged in, either directly, indirectly, that affect your brain and its functioning and its well-being. That's why I've got neurologists in the studio, right? I'll take backpedal a bit and get them to explain to you what a neurologist or who a neurologist is. And I do know that I have an overdose. There are not that many of them, but for me to have 3 of them in the studio is a big deal, right? If you have any questions, concerns, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and shortly I will activate the neural pathways. Okay, the phone lines, so you can ask them the questions yourself. So, Dr. Chawe, coming back, I mean, this sounds very important, right? I do a lot of reading before any of my programs, but I was listening to a lot of stuff. There's a doctor, more kind of a celeb doctor, but he's a psychiatrist as well. Dr. Daniel Amen does a lot of stuff, but he was telling us things we should look out for, sugar, this, that. So there are lots of things that we may be engaged in that do impact on our brain health. Can you, bring that whole topic of brain health? Because somebody's thinking, well, I'm not going to fall off a motorbike. I haven't hit my head. I'm fine.
Sure, absolutely. So when we are talking about brain health, we have to understand that there's nothing that is happening to you at any moment in time that your brain is not involved in.
Okay.
And why it's so important that our theme for this year is prevention is that you are thinking of, if I do ride a motorcycle, I have to wear a helmet so that I prevent head injury if I happen to fall off that motorcycle. I need to eat a nutritious diet so that I don't develop the diseases that are associated with certain nutritional deficiencies. I need to exercise so that my heart is healthy, so that when my heart is healthy, my brain is able to stay healthy for longer.
Okay.
So we have to understand that whilst the brain is indeed the most important organ and controls absolutely everything that the body does, it makes who each individual is the individual that they are, and their ability to interact with the world like you and I are doing right now.
Right.
And the prevention or the ensuring that we are at optimum brain health starts long before the human being is existing.
Right.
So maternal health is very important. Before the woman gets pregnant, she has to be healthy. So she has to have a nutritious diet, she has to exercise, she has to engage in appropriate physical and social activity. And then when she's pregnant, she maintains that healthy diet so that the growing fetus can also develop properly.
Right.
Then right from birth, the birthing process itself, if not handled appropriately by midwives, by trained personnel, can cause brain damage and therefore impact on the brain health of the child, increasing the incidence of cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and other conditions that affect brain health. Then as the child is growing, they need to again be fed an appropriately nutritious diet and engage in good education so that the brain is well stimulated, again, so that every single moment of the individual's life, they are performing at maximum.
So that says this covers the whole spectrum, the whole developmental spectrum.
Absolutely. From before you're born till you're no longer here.
Right? Anything that is going on that can impact, compromise, whatever, brain health, right? If the environment in the womb and so on and so forth is not optimal, then there's a problem. If you have asphyxia at birth, right? Or a complicated delivery, right? Then the brain may be starved of oxygen and then all sorts of things. If mommy decides to drink, I won't call the brand of a drink, but during pregnancy, drinking, taking certain medications and so on and so forth could also impact negatively on brain health. So that's a lot of work.
It is.
And it's wonderful that maybe, thankfully, most of us are born okay, right? But of course, there are certain things you look out for from even the early stages to tell whether a child is properly developed and well-formed and whether there's possibility of brain pathology, right? Okay, so we are aware of these things and we want most people to be on the same space with us. Okay, so I think my listeners, you've gotten the thrust now, so we can go now and try and break down some of the things, right? You heard Dr. Brody Menz mention stroke and a few other things, right? But when it comes to the serious, significant or notable neurological problems. Am I right in using that term?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, brain-related issues,
Yeah.
right? Those are the ones people hear. I mean, stroke, this, that. How common are these? Because if we're thinking of prevention, most people would start to think that, well, I could prevent the possibility of these outcomes. How common generally are neurological impairments or problems?
Well, we do have some data from some of our hospital clinics, neurological clinics. In Ghana, what definitely causes the most morbidity and mortality is definitely strokes. That's what we see a lot at our emergencies. At the clinics, we tend to see things like movement disorders, Parkinson's disease, things like epilepsy, and then, of course, the headache disorders. These are some of the things we see commonly, and then the dementias, of course, like I mentioned earlier. So these are the things that I would say we're trying to prevent, because they cause a lot of morbidity and mortality. It's not the entire spectrum of brain conditions, but these are the ones that, statistically speaking, cause a lot of disabilities and productive loss in our society.
All right. These can affect your quality of life. Remember, we're talking about promoting, protecting, securing, and promote optimal brain health. All right. With neurologist Dr. Augustina Chawe. It's a compound name, isn't it?
Chawe Feli.
Chawe Feli is a neurologist, consultant neurologist with the 37 Military Hospital. Dr. Brody Menz is with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He's a neurologist. Dr. Frida Amwating is a physician specialist and a fellow in neurology. So you want to tinker with the brain.
Yeah. Neurology hopeful.
Yeah, and neurology hopeful. So
right. You started?
Yes, I've started.
Oh, of all the places, you didn't want to go anywhere.
It's the best place to be.
Right. Okay. She's also with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Any questions, concerns, experiences, testimonies? Hey, WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. I have 3 neurologists. Dr. Chawe, how many are you in this country, neurologists?
So fully trained, we count at around 13. I may miss a few.
What?
And
Say
about 5 or 6 in
3.
training. Yes, please.
13.
Yes, for 33 almost million population.
And I have 3 in my studio.
Yes, you do.
So some people are
You're a
suffering.
very lucky man.
Wow. Okay. So folks, this is serious business. But let's look at these things. So again, I'm aware from reading and research stuff that long before you get any serious, notable symptoms, there could be something or things going on or things going wrong with your brain. Dr. Martin, I mean, is there anything that will signal or alert me to the possibility that my brain is not okay? I understand, okay, of course, I work as a psychologist, so I know if you take alcohol beyond a certain blood alcohol concentration, certain things start to change, okay? Some talk plenty, some misbehave, but at higher levels now, your ability to walk and move changes, what we call motor coordination, right?
Yeah.
So my speech may become red and I start speaking like Kofori, right? But before those ones, what are there any subtle things that could alert us?
Okay. So before I answer that question, I liked the phrase you used earlier that we are here to talk about the ultimate organ. I just want to
talk a bit more about the organ.
Yes, I'm happy you use that, because really the brain brings it all together. The brain is really the most important organ in the body, and everything we do, the brain has to give the command. The brain is doing the coordination. So then when we drive that point home, then we can start thinking about how to preserve our brain health.
Okay.
And then also with the burden, actually about almost half of the world's population, over almost 4 billion people, have one form or the other of neurological disorders. We have the strokes, the epilepsies, all put together, almost half of the world. So it is something that we must really talk about and hammer on.
Okay.
With that said, when we talk about neurological disorders, like you said, we have the signs and the symptoms and things that will show that there's something wrong with your brain. But before the big things like you're having a seizure, you cannot walk, you cannot talk, we look at things like even behavioral change. That's a very subtle. So you live with someone, you know the person to be this way, and then you see you recognize certain things. And some of the very common problems we have, maybe forgetfulness, extreme fatigue, getting tired unnecessarily. Yes, it could point to other systems. When we come to the brain, we call it. So we are looking at your higher functions. We are looking at the function of the nerves that controls the muscles. So when you have, so before we get to those ones, you should always, any change you see in someone should draw your attention to the fact that, okay, could there be more?
Okay.
And one of the things is behavior and personality change, extreme tiredness, forgetfulness, forgetting things around. It's a very common problem that we usually attribute to old age, but it's good to look more. Once you look more, then you can now looking for the big things. That it's not always, we don't have to always look for the big things. And things like headache, we tend to dismiss headaches a lot. Okay, it's just, I'm just tired. Oh, I've just not eaten. I've just not this.
Okay.
But when we pay more attention to that, then we can go into detail and see if we should look more.
All right, folks. 26 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. On the heels of World Brain Day, which was observed on the 22nd of July, we've got neurologists in the studio, and we're looking at brain function, preserving, promoting, protecting, securing your brain health. There are lots of things you do on a regular basis. Some of the things we drink, some of the things we take, and so on, whether we're getting enough sleep and many other things, affect your brain. Even your developmental milestones or your development overall can give us some clues as to whether your brain is doing the right things, okay? That is your, can I say your hard disk? But everything is in there. And
Your motherboard.
Your motherboard, all right.
Or
You
your
see?
CPU.
Hey,
Central Processing Unit.
you folks, you see why I'm not the neurologist. I'm just the host, all right? But that is your executive organ, right? Controls everything. It will determine and dictate whether you become a male or female, even though you want to do funky things with that later on and identify as other things. Not that, right? So the way you behave, how you are able to do certain things, how your organs even function, right? How maybe certain hormones are released and all that is under the jurisdiction of the brain. And we're talking about knowing how to make sure you're looking after your brain, all right? So let me ask Dr. Chawe again, Chawe Feli, what are the typical lifestyle choices or things we should be mindful of? You've already, all of you have talked about good nutrition, right? Eating the right things. But what are the typical things that could have an impact on brain health that we don't really talk about or think about?
Or we take for granted.
Yeah.
So luckily, it's actually really easy. There's no special thing that you do for brain health that is not good for heart health, that's not good for the liver, that's not good for the kidneys. So it is relatively simple. And
Okay.
it boils down to the main things that we've already mentioned on several occasions. Lots of fruits and vegetables. You have to have the full complement of all the vitamins, the vitamins, the minerals, and avoid the things that we know are bad for you. So that's fried foods, animal fats, etc. So the bulk of your food
You're
has to be
becoming a
fruits
spoiler.
and vegetables.
Avoid
Yes.
all those things.
Avoid them.
Okay.
You mentioned
Not
alcohol.
minimize them. Avoid them.
Avoid them. You can minimize them. So avoiding doesn't mean that you can never have a potato chip.
Okay.
Yes, but the role and the quantity in any particular meal needs to be minimized. So basically, it's all about moderation and balance.
All right.
Yeah. So there is no one food that is wonderful and will keep you alive forever.
Okay.
But it is moderation, variety, the more colorful foods. It is the fruits and vegetables as the bulk of your diet.
Okay.
And then healthy proteins and healthy carbohydrates.
Okay.
We need all of those things. Again, variety and moderation is key. Alcohol, minimize to none. And
Hey, wait. My listeners can be very, very, very stubborn academy.
yes, I'm sure they can.
Alcohol minimized
Yes.
to zero.
Or avoided completely.
All right.
In the past, we used to think that a small amount of alcohol was beneficial.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the latest studies show that no amount of alcohol is beneficial.
But they're in business.
So-
They're making big bucks.
Huge bucks, like the tobacco companies
Yep.
used to. And now we know perfectly well that smoking is bad for you. So
Yeah. Tobacco
don't
is the only
start.
product.
And if you are smoking, stop. The
Yep.
same with alcohol. Don't start.
Right.
And if you're drinking, minimize. And if you can stop completely,
Alright.
stop completely.
Okay, you may not know, but I'm one of the early lobbyists, advocates, whatever, tobacco control, or we fought. In fact, if God wanted you to smoke, he would have given you a carburetor and not lungs, and an exhaust pipe and not an anus, right? But these damage the body, and especially the executive organ, the brain. That's what we're talking about. Keeping yourself away from these things is promoting brain health.
Yes.
Right. So let me just tinker a bit in there. So alcohol, I mean, most people don't understand that it goes straight to your brain, right? Once it's absorbed, it's going to your brain. But when you say it damages the brain, maybe it sounds a bit far-fetched. Dr. Brody Mans, do you drink?
No, I don't actually.
You stopped?
I never started.
All right. But can you? Is it possible to give a little breakdown that makes sense to my listeners? What does alcohol do to the brain?
Okay, so alcohol actually affects the what we call the neurons, the cells that make up the brain.
Yeah.
They communicate by what we call neurotransmitters.
Okay.
So these are like small molecules that they use to send signals to one another. And alcohol actually affects that system.
Okay.
And sometimes can actually change the amount of receptors you have for those neurotransmitters,
Okay.
either upwards or downwards, which is why whenever we take certain amounts of alcohol, it either slows our brain functioning or, depending on the amount, might even increase it at certain levels.
Yeah.
So because of that change in neurotransmitter levels, acutely you get the symptoms of intoxication.
Right.
But doing it chronically, like I was saying earlier, can change the amounts such that to the point that you need to take more alcohol to get the same effects you used to.
All right.
And as such, you build up until it starts tolerance, exactly, until it starts, negatively affecting not just your brain but other organs, especially your liver, and can lead to a lot of either chronic liver disease or brain conditions.
Okay.
Not only that, when you're intoxicated, it puts you at risk for things like falls, which can harm your brain and cause brain injury, which can lead to other conditions. And then it's been also been shown to increase the risk for cardiovascular disease. So then it puts you more at risk for strokes and then those type of conditions.
Right. Indeed, I
And
like
risky behavior.
I was going to say that because years back,
And from risky behavior, sexually transmitted disease.
That's what I was going to say. Way back when I did HIV training in Uganda and Kenya, and if you look at Eastern and Southern Africa, their rate of patronage of alcoholic beverages, you can actually map it onto their HIV rates and safe sex and so many other things, and domestic violence and homicide and so many things, right? But basically your processes are affected. Indeed, alcohol is a drug.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a psychoactive substance.
Yeah.
Okay? So it affects your consciousness, and then there's a whole domino effect. Let me take a couple of messages. Oye Nafenya, I see you. All right. You all right? There, she's on. This one says, afternoon, I want to know how masturbation affects the brain. Kwame. Men shed and yes, sir. Kwame wants to know. I'll leave that to my neurologist there. These are my listeners. This one says, good afternoon. Thank you so much for the program that continues to do wonderful things for Ghana and humanity. Anytime I'm home, this time on Sunday, I make it a point to listen. 3 weeks ago, today, your program, which you prefer to appropriately call a promise, gave me a singular opportunity of having a special treat from the Platinum Dental Services for free. And you actually delivered on your promise. I had my appointment. Okay, this is Delphinus. Yeah, we sent two gentlemen and a lady to Platinum. Right, we did a program on elder dental care, right, and so they got a free clean and check. So they had an X-ray, they had a scan, a 3D scan as well, and then they had a clean and all of that. So this is one of them giving testimony. Delphinus, I'm glad you went, and I've seen the video as well of you praising Platinum. Platinum, thank you. Good afternoon, Nortey by nature. I would like to thank you and Joy. Oh, another one. By adding me to the team on Friday. Okay, this is Coco Mante. You also went. Coco, this wasn't your first time. I think I've sent you for some free lab something before. You must be rigging the election. All right. Quickly, good afternoon, Nortey. Oops. No, it just says good afternoon, Nortey. I don't see anything else. WhatsApp is 05511119997. This is from Dede in Maryland. Hey, my sister. Oh, why can't I see what you've written? Okay, see what advice they have for professional boxers, football players. There's a lot of stuff about impact, head injury, impact, and all that, and whether it affects the brain. And then parents slapping their children. Please, they've advanced. To slapping was like 1G. They've reached like 6G. But yes, physical, harm to kids. Those are the questions I've got. This one says, all right. Okay, coming back into the studio. Phone lines active 030-221-6541. We're talking about the brain and brain health. All the things you do that could harm, affect, compromise brain function. I've got 3 neurologists in the studio. If I was a politician, I'll say this is unprecedented. Hasn't been done before. This is the highest, largest investment in neurology ever since. And it's by Nortey by nature. Okay, so 030-221-6541. Call us, speak to a neurologist, any questions you have. Right, you mentioned headaches and a few other things. What about sleep? If I'm not getting enough sleep, is it a problem? Can it affect my brain? Any of you?
So, absolutely. It is part of what is considered a healthy lifestyle.
Okay.
The average adult, and we're all adult neurologists, for children the numbers are different, but the average adult requires 7 to 9 hours of continuous sleep a night.
Say that to my medical students.
7 to 9 hours of continuous sleep. So realistic life is not ideal ever.
Right.
So we are perfectly aware that a lot of individuals do not get enough sleep. We spoke about diet, do not follow a healthy diet. Very few of us have an exercise regimen, etc. Nonetheless, the recommendation still is 7 to 9 hours for the healthy adult is what is considered adequate.
All right.
Less than that, you increase your risk of developing dementia in later life. It increases in a variety of ways your likelihood of developing hypertension, and then the hypertension increases your risk of developing stroke. It just generally reduces your ability to function at your optimum level. It increases the likelihood of seizures occurring in those who are already predisposed to seizures. If you are sleep deprived for more than 3 days, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, absolutely sleep deprived for 3 days, you start having hallucinations, you can have seizures, and a whole bunch of other neuropsychiatric issues. So sleep is extremely important. Sleep is what the brain uses to sort of reset itself. It doesn't sleep, it is still functioning, but it doing something else, it's resetting, it's healing itself so that it can take on the next day properly.
All right. Remember that during sleep, you have several types of sleep. Some are recharging, some are doing other things. If you don't get the full complement, please, you need to reload units. If you don't reload, you are affecting yourself. We'll come back to the question on impact to the head and slapping and all those things, the sports and many other things. This is Jijo from Dodua. Jijo, how are you doing? I was supposed to follow up something with you. I remember. Okay. Good afternoon, Ni. Can straining your eyes on the laptop when typing affect your brain? Screen time. We're hearing a lot about that in relation to several other problems. Can we answer that for Jijo? Straining your eyes, screen time. Can it affect the brain?
Yeah. Sure, absolutely it does. Who wants to take the question? So it does in different ways.
Okay.
So it affects your eyes simply by the fact that you're straining your eyes and your eyesight. You can develop short-sightedness, worsen short-sightedness, and speed up the sight changes that happen with age. But it's not the straining your eyes at the laptop that's the problem. It's the duration of screen time that is detrimental to brain function. So there has to be breaks.
Moderate
and
screen time.
Someone asked me a question about social media. Is it good for the brain? Is it not good for the brain? It's good for the creators because they're actively using their brains to figure out, I'm going to make a TikTok that is this interesting. It's going to get more likes, etc. So for the creators, it is very helpful. For the consumers who are just mindlessly scrolling through the social media and then also straining their eyes whilst they're doing that, it is detrimental because you're not using your brain. You're not again maximizing the function of your brain. Use it or lose it. And if you're not using it and just mindlessly going through your day, eventually before you realize it, it's not functioning properly.
Righty. And
I
the more you
think
use it, the
I'll
stronger
also
it
want
gets.
to
Yeah, go
add
ahead.
on to that because of especially in this day and age of social media, there are some theories that say that, especially with TikTok and Instagram and stories and things, that we are sort of kicking into what we call our reward loop in our brains, whereby we watch all these short videos and get instant gratification. And then over the long term, it affects our ability to focus and sort of
On real life.
not just on real life, but your
For longer than
attention
30
span.
seconds.
Yeah, your attention span, because you're used to these short videos and instant rewards, you're sort of conditioned to getting instant rewards. And then in the long term, things that require sustained input get harder and harder for you to do.
Okay. Folks, if you just joined. Yes.
Another point
Right.
with the social media. So because it's very addictive, we lose what we call the social connections, the social networking, which is one aspect we haven't spoken about. We will talk about it. It's very important. It says something as simple as saying hello, smiling to someone can increase your lifespan by a year. So social connection and interaction is very important, and we are replacing it with the screens. And
Right.
so as much as you are damaging your eyes and everything, you are also losing the social connection, which impacts brain health.
Alrighty, 42 minutes past the hour 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. My neurologists are telling you, Charlie, it's better to wrap a woman, right? Talk to her, go through the challenges and all those things, and you are stimulating your brain. But all these emojis and things, please, you are not doing the right things, and you are getting the wrong sort of stimulation, which you may become addicted to, right? And we need to be talking about that. Phone line active 030-221-6541. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. This one says, I just can't sleep after 12 a.m. Please, can I sleep early around 7 p.m.? Will it affect me? So he wants to sleep earlier. Hang on to that. If you've been listening to us, you've been listening to Dr. Frida Amoating. She's a physician specialist and neurologist to be. A fellow in neurology. Don't joke. Dr. Augustina Chawe Feli is a consultant neurologist with the 37 Military Hospital. But you're not in the military.
No.
Oh, you look good in your uniform. You know. But she's a consultant neurologist and the treasurer of the Neurological Society of Ghana. Prof. Albert Akpalu. Met your mom yesterday. I hope you're doing well. He's taking a break. He's saying now they are younger people, so I shouldn't stress him so much. It will affect his brain. All right. And Dr. David Brody Menz is also a neurologist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. There are about 13 of them across this country. I guess most of them are near the southern coast.
Most of them are in Kolebu.
Kolebu. You see? All right. So, yeah, if you have any questions on brain function, sleep, and all these things, note we have a question on impact, injury, trauma to the brain. Okay, I'm trying not to use the terms that I'm familiar with, right? So that you can all get in on the game, okay? So 030-221-6541. Hello, who am I speaking to?
Just listen to Peter.
Juta.
Peter from Teshi.
Peter from Teshi. Okay, share with us.
Yes. Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, I'm having problem. I don't know whether the same thing is equivalent to the same thing. My mouth. It happened to me last year, December. I was one week going to somewhere. My hand was like how Nancy catch you. So I was doubting whether I'm getting the stroke or not. I was using the hand to touch the blocker, hitting the blocker. It went off a bit. But the whole thing is my mouth is like my tongue is like a salt. Anytime I'm eating, I can't have a taste of the food. And then the gum, like if I'm eating, it's swollen. And I don't know actually what happened. I went to the Lekma hospital. As for the 37, I went to 37. What happened to me there? I don't want to say it on the air. So I don't know what happened. So right now, if I'm eating, I don't have a taste of the food. I don't know. It's also a problem of the brain or what. I don't know.
So you're not tasting your food. Did you say something about? It sounded like numbness of your arm at a point. Did you say something like that?
Yes, it's something like Nancy. I went to Lekman once, and I met a doctor, and she told me that if you are in a BP patient, the same thing happened to you. You need to see the neurology. So when I went to Lekman Hospital that time, There's a neurology there from China.
Peter, can you slow down for me? You said if you are what patient?
I said that I'm saying that I went to Lekman. They asked me to see the neurology.
Yes, but they said something before they asked you. Did I hear you mention? Did you mention diabetes?
Yes, I'm a diabetic person. I'm on the what do you call it, the track.
Okay. All right. Let me get some answers from my guests for you, docs.
So because stone was thrown into my playground, I feel I have to answer this. So the first thing is it is nearly impossible in such an interaction to be able to diagnose anything appropriately.
Yeah.
This is related to the question you asked Dr. Martin, and how do you know that there's something wrong with you?
Right.
So if you feel that something is wrong, very often the first point of call is the doctor in the polyclinic or a general practitioner. Unfortunately, neurology is a little bit mystical, it seems, to our colleagues. It isn't, and we need to increase awareness, which is part of why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay.
The individual knows themselves best. And if you feel that the doctor you have seen has not addressed your problem, ask for a referral to, if they say they need to refer you to a neurologist, ask for a referral to a neurologist.
Okay.
There are neurologists available. We are not plentiful in number, but we are available and you can be seen.
And the referral has been indicated to him. Yeah. Okay.
And it should be followed through on.
Right. Okay.
The doctor who's writing the referral should include information on that referral note, because that often decides how quickly you get to be seen.
Yeah.
But back to the polyclinic. The most common thing that is done is a full blood count, kidney function, liver function. There is no simple test that tells you the brain has an issue.
Okay.
And what happens very often is people go with headache or with complaints about anxiety, depression, forgetfulness, a whole slew of things. They feel they are not right. The doctor does a simple bunch of tests, says there's nothing wrong with your tests. It's important to understand the following. Your tests may be fine, it's not equal to you are fine.
Yeah.
So to Peter and his specific problem, which is impossible to diagnose like this, he needs to follow through on that referral to the neurologist so that we can address it properly and take care of it. And where we can make a difference, we should make a difference.
All right. All my discerning listeners know that our program is not a substitute for proper, thorough medical consultation, right? Okay. Though our listeners love us and they love to drag our guests into over-air consultation. So, Peter, please follow up and get the appropriate referral if you're having any problem. I mean, Abe could take his number. I will see if we can assist. Right? I have Daniel. Oh, he's gone off. I have Daniel on the line. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, good afternoon, Uncle Nortey.
Hiya. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you're also good.
Yes, I'm good. Go ahead.
I want to thank you for this opportunity. My problem is I work with a catering service as a cook.
Right.
I sleep late and I wake up very early. Please, I want your doctors to advise me. And I hardly sleep in the afternoon if I'm less busy. Today, for instance, I came back from church. I did a little washing, lie down. I couldn't find sleep, so I have to get up again and begin on my things for another day. Thank you.
Right. Daniel, how long have you been a shift worker?
For about 2 decades.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So he does nights. He's a caterer, and he doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep that much during the day, and he's wondering whether this will bother him. Right? Oti is on the line from, I believe, Tema. Oti, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Oti.
Hi. Share with us.
I'm fine. My greetings to the panel doctors, panelists. Oti, I want to ask a question. Sometimes they say you as Sakura always have to wear some cap or something to cover your hair. Because for Sakura, because of too much of sun, it's affecting their brain. Is that right? Or you just a mix?
Oti, you're cracking me up. Sakura, please, do they need protection from the sun? And if they don't have that protection, will it affect the brain? I mean, this is a neurological question, I tell you. Docs, so Oti is asking us, those who have God as their Baba, Is there any relationship?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
To have any relationship with sunlight affecting your.
I was going to use
hitting
it
your
to
head
account for the
directly
behavior
or
of
no?
some friends of mine, but hey. So,
But you still need protection because the skin on your head needs protection from the sun.
okay, the
UV
skin,
protection, yes.
not the brain.
No,
Not directly the
it,
brain.
it doesn't
The brain,
like
yeah.
flow through and into
Okay.
the brain.
All right. So all of you people who are, go ahead, Doc.
I was going to allude back to the first question.
From Peter.
He mentioned, if you can remind me the question again,
sleeping.
something about his sleeping.
Oh, the night shift.
He said he did night shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to advise him that he should try and, as much as possible, still try and get the 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
He has a difficulty sleeping during the day.
So
That's
he
why I
can't
asked the
sleep during the
duration.
day. Okay.
Because I would have thought with the duration by now his system, would have
Yeah.
inverted his
Yeah.
sleep cycle, but it doesn't look like it's happening for him. Is he at risk of any problems? Because we've talked about
Yes.
sleep,
Yes.
quantity and quality. So what would you say?
It's actually been shown that people who do the night shifts and sleep during the day actually have a higher risk for cardiovascular disease
And stroke
and
as a
stroke
result.
as well. Yes.
Hey,
So
Charlie, you are going to get into trouble the way we are going towards 24-hour economy. But anyway, so night shifts should be handled properly.
yes.
And shift work should be interspersed with, just like I say, day and night and the things we do.
as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah. So the 2 decades long of night shift, it is a little bit
That's a
worrying.
bit
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So to add a little to that, we have the sleep training.
Mm-hmm.
So then with the night shifts, one way is to it's interchanged. So maybe you do some nights, you go off, then you do days.
Okay.
It's still confusing, and you would still have to sort of train the brain, because the brain likes how do I put it, the regularity. It has a
Consistency,
cycle
yeah.
it sticks to. So then when it's changed or when it's
Your sleep
not
wake
followed
cycle.
through, then
Right.
there's a problem. But then you have to still do some sleep training. It will take some time, it will require something, but ultimately you need your rest.
You had to use the word ultimately. Right. Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. We're talking about promoting brain health. Interesting stuff. Each of those questions could be a very interesting case study, right? Because with this chap, Daniel, he's doing shift work. I don't know what substances he takes. I don't know his sleep hygiene and many other things that we could start looking at. But definitely he needs some help. Peter had some compromised sensation. He wasn't feeling certain things, numbness, and he's not, he's not able to taste his food
So
and many
for
other things.
Peter, if I can add, because he is diabetic, he's
Yeah.
at increased risk of a variety of neurological
Yeah.
disease, which again is why we're advising,
Okay.
please see a neurologist.
All right. Okay. Peter, don't just sit in front of them and then take your advice or recommendations and referrals and sit at home waiting for Nortey by Nature on Ultimate Health or anything else. Okay. It does sound more user friendly, but there are so many things that must be checked and cross checked. All right. To help you. And diabetes is not that friendly either, especially when it progresses and advances. So you need to see a qualified professional, right? Don't go into any dark corners sorting yourself out. Yes, Frida.
And then also for Peter, he made mention of something I want to address. He mentioned he has numbness. Could it be stroke? Like Dr. Chawe said, you need proper investigations, history taken and everything. But for that myth, let me just put your mind to rest. For a lot of Ghanaians, I'm having numbness, I can't feel, and it's been 3 months, am I getting a stroke? Most of the time, 99% of the time, no, you're not getting a stroke.
He mentioned
because
Anansi. Let's come down.
Okay, so then Anansi, does it mean I have stroke? Stroke is usually, most often of the time, sudden onset. So if you've had this going on for a long time, a lot of people have that fear, causes anxiety, causes depression, and it affects your brain health. So if you are not sure, please go to go to a hospital, talk to a doctor, allay your fears and anxiety.
Okay.
But then if it's going on for a long time, unlikely it's a stroke. You can't get a stroke because you have certain risk factors.
Yeah.
But for what it is now, for the time and the duration, unlikely so.
I'm loving this because all the other things are connecting, the possibility of cardiovascular problems, there's diabetes in there, there's this, that. So you need a qualified professional to assess and advise and then treat and managed. We're almost out of time. We didn't do the impact to the head. Sports, heading the ball. We hear a lot of things, and there's another question I want us to touch on. I've read there's some correlation between your body mass index or obesity and brain health as well. So can we touch on these two? Impact to the head.
All
Oh,
right.
sorry, Mickey is on the line. Sorry, Mickey. I'm so sorry. Are you still there? Hello. Oosh. I beg you buy him units. I beg, pacify him.
So for the impact to the head,
Yeah.
especially for growing children that are still developing.
All right.
In fact, it is now legislation in a lot of countries where for contact sports, the children are supposed to play in helmets. For football, for example,
All right.
children are not allowed to be heading balls because we know that American football, for example, ordinary, our regular soccer football, the individuals that play on a high level with frequent use of heading, etc., are at higher risk of a condition called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And it's because of the continuous impact. I cannot not mention boxing. Also, same thing.
Right.
There's a whole variety of diseases that can be worsened or a disease of its own that can be triggered by the constant impacts. Of course, do not beat your children. It's bad psychologically, it is bad physically, and again, detrimentally
Our parents
affects.
thought the knocks were part of Christian training. They give you a knock at an angle theta.
Well, a lot of things we used to think were okay are no longer okay.
All right, don't be knocking the kids. Talk to them. Be nice. Good afternoon. Nope, this was not what I was reading. I can't sleep early. Moreover, I normally sleep for 4 hours only. Am I in trouble? This is Jeff Lyon Mamprobi. Is he in trouble? He's not getting the should I say ideal quantity of sleep. 4 hours.
He is. He's in trouble.
All right, Jeff.
Over a long period of time, he won't be in trouble.
Jeff, my neurological VAR, or is it VRA? Video assistant VAR has caught you. Try and improve your sleep, but do get a consultation just in case. Please, I want to know the prices of replacement of teeth. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. Good afternoon, please. I can't sleep after 2 a.m. Can I sleep earlier? Yeah, what about that one?
So generally, a human being needs to be asleep at night. We are not nocturnal creatures.
All right.
But with the advent of technology, artificial light, etc., our patterns and cycles of sleep have adjusted.
Okay.
You should ideally sleep at night. However, again, the 7 to 9 recommendation, there's no stipulation as to what time of the day it is. It's just that the brain needs light to regulate its wake and sleep cycles.
Right.
So if you're sleeping during the day and that's the only time you have to sleep, you make sure you're blocking out the lights. You have curtains that block out the light, or you wear the mask that again blocks out light, because it's the light that also influences the quality of your life and your sleep and the natural ability to maintain proper wake and sleep cycles.
Okie dokie. Please, I feel pains at both sides of my head when laughing. And when I use a scarf, I do feel some beats like heartbeats. So, I don't know. She gets pain at the side of her head. This is Jijo in Dodua. She's asking, what should she do?
I think she should go see a doctor to lay her fears at rest. Get it properly checked out.
Right.
Get a
It can
good
be
examination.
nothing, and it can also be a sign of something important.
All right. Dede in Maryland, waking up in between the 8 hours, does it have any adverse effect? Can you do installments? Right? I get this question when I teach states of consciousness. Can you do in bits, and still say you have cumulative 8 hours?
It's continuous 7 to 9 hours.
Continuous
That's the
7 to
ideal.
9 hours. Hopefully in a good place, in a nice place.
It does help. The comfort of your bed or wherever it is you're sleeping does go a long way in improving the quality of your sleep.
Yeah.
It's okay if you get up to go and pee, or you're thirsty, you have a drink, because usually in those states you don't wake up completely. But if you wake up, you're sitting on your social media again, or you go do something else, and the sleep is actually broken, then that is a problem.
All right. Someone says I shouldn't confuse Ghanaians as they are now about to start night shift. Night shift has always been there. If we go outside and it's dollars or something else, we do more of that. Okay. But it relates to what we're talking about. Okay. Your sleep-wake cycle is a very, very important indicator. If you're not getting enough, it's like putting your phone on the charger and not switching the charger on. Right? So you're not replenishing anything and you have many other related problems. Yes, Dr. Brody, you were saying something.
Oh, no, I was just going to add the concept about knowing your numbers for patients or people with different cardiovascular problems.
Okay.
So we've talked about diabetes already. So I just want to give an extra hype to people with high blood pressure and then people with high cholesterol, because these are also risk factors.
They're risk factors.
Yes, for having brain disorders, especially cardiovascular like stroke.
Okay.
So if you above the age of 35, 40, make sure you've had your blood pressure checked.
From 20.
Yeah. All right. So you probably understand and validate my decision to have these folks in a couple more times, because we've got stroke, we've got seizure disorders, we've got dementias, we've got plenty of things when it comes to the brain, right? Even substance use. Even substance, yes, all those things you're calling toffees or all those things that you people are taking that you think I don't know. You go out and people are puffing at shisha pipes and other things. You'll be amazed what you are taking, right? So we'll have the neurologists back, because they've done their day, brain day, but we have to now break it down. What's a stroke? Different types of stroke. What is a seizure disorder? Many people think it's a mental disorder. Right? It's a neurological disorder, right? Absolutely. Though it sometimes manifests with certain behaviors, so people come and chuck you in the psychiatric hospital where you meet a certain me or somebody else, right? But it's a neurological disorder. There are many other things, right? And we need to understand them. So Dr. Chawe, treasurer, you have the cash, so I'll be following you, of the Neurological Society of Ghana. She's a consultant neurologist with the 37 Military Hospital. Dr. David Brody Menz is a neurologist with the Kolibu Teaching Hospital. Dr. Frida Amwatin, spelled in a funky way, right? That we sometimes get wrong, is a physician specialist and also a fellow in neurology. Okay, we need to grow many more of them. There are a few more things I wanted to touch on when I bring them back. Sugar and other things are heavily implicated when it comes to what we're doing to our brain, and we need to understand. And like Dr. Chawe Feli said, moderation, management, balance, okay? And then we start to understand them. I've seen other things that suggest that we should be veering towards a Mediterranean diet because of the veggies and many other things and the types of oils they use instead of drowning everything we eat in oil. Right, so we've got lots of stuff coming up with the Neurological Society of Ghana. Many thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I thought they would sandwich you so that we'll have a sandwich somehow. But we'll have you back hopefully next week. Can we get you? Maybe not all of you, 2 of you, yeah? So that we go back over some of these things. We can't dodge stroke. The relationship and linkage with cholesterol, diabetes, and all that, we can't dodge them. So we definitely have to find a neural pathway to you guys. Thank you so much for informing and transforming our listeners. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Stick and stay on Joy 99.7 FM. Abeku comes up with some music for Sunday afternoon. Those of you whose messages I haven't read, he always patches them and copies them to me. So we'll get back to you on the brain and brain health. Stick and stay on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nortey by nature. I'm out.